What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and what can I say? What a night of boxing! Um, I have my prediction videos. I put them up, and I hate to say this, but I told you so. Both of my predictions happened to be right this week. I was pretty confident in them. I knew that they were going to be tough and competitive fights, but ultimately they were accurate. So that's always nice. I want to start with it was a triple header tonight on HBO, as you guys know. I want to briefly talk about Burgos versus Martinez. And if you could see, this is the tweet I posted immediately after they announced the split decision draw, technical draw. I think that was utter bullshit because I think Burgos controlled the pace. He dictated the pace. If you look at rounds 1 and 2, Burgos was dictating the pace. He used his jab and he was very composed. Round 3, Martinez closed the gap a little bit, but it still wasn't enough, in my opinion, to win that round. Um, but he got on the inside a little bit more and made it closer than the previous two fights. And then round 4 was much of the same what we had seen in the previous, with Burgos doing the most of the work, the higher connect percentage. Um, Fast forward to round 7, there was some close phone book action, but to me it just didn't look like Martinez had that much pop or crack on his. It didn't look like his punches had that much steam, and that could be part natural and part a culmination of the accumulation of body shots that Burgos was throwing all night. He was making a point to hit the body, something Andre Ward definitely talked about. And might I add, Andre Ward, I think he was an excellent commentator tonight. I just want to throw that side note in. And then round 8, it was kind of a dull round. Burgos, he appeared to be tired and he was kind of resting, but he was still throwing shots. And these are the rounds where I think Martinez was actually able to win some. And it was really because Burgos wasn't throwing as much and he was resting or whatever he was doing. But it wasn't anything significant, like game changing or fight changing or devastating, in my opinion, that Martinez had landed to win the round. It was just he was busier because Burgos was tired or whatever. Um, Round 10 though, Burgos was chewing Martinez up, literally chewing him up with the body shots. He was just tattooing his body, his rib cage, and he was also using some jabs. And I thought in round 12, I thought Burgos closed the show. Both fighters in that round showed tremendous heart, and they were both swinging, and you could tell they both wanted it. One thing that I thought was weird for Martinez's corner was I think it was the end of the 11th round, so Martinez went to the stool, and his corner was like, "We need a good round" or something really basic. Like, and I'm thinking in my head, like, you need more than a good round. You need a knockout to win, because Burgos was again dominating this whole fight, in my opinion. And then when they announced the split decision, I was pissed because I knew it was going to be some bullshit. So I guess the judges decided to start 2013 off, or 2013 off on a just a bad note with a poor decision. I mean, we have our first controversial poor decision, because there's no way I could see it being a technical draw. I didn't see anything from Martinez that led me to believe that he won that fight. His punches didn't look like they had steam. The harder shots were landed by Burgos. Burgos was the busier. He had the higher connect CompuBox number. He was throwing jabs, working the body. He was actually Martinez's best bet for a fighter like Burgos was to fight him on the inside, and most of the inside phone book exchanges, I would think that Martinez would fare a little bit better, but most of those Burgos was doing even better on the inside, and that's what Martinez was like. That, you know what I mean, that was one of his keys to victory, so to speak. So there's no way I could justify this being a draw or saying Martinez was even in the fight. I mean, it wasn't even that. It was, to me, it's a clear and concise win for Burgos, and I thought he was robbed with that. Moving on, we have Triple G Gennady Golovkin versus Phillies Gabriel Rosado, and really, it's basically what I predicted. Rosado having tremendous heart. He's not going to give up until he gets either stopped or knocked out, or the corner stops it, and that's what happened. They end up stopping the fight. I think his trainer, Rosado's trainer, even said something like, "I gotta throw in the towel. Your son's about to get killed." because he was talking to Gabriel's dad, who was also in the corner, and I guess the dad didn't want the towel, and that's really weird because usually if there's a father and son, or there's a father in the corner, that's not necessarily the trainer, and a trainer, if anyone's going to throw in the towel, I would imagine it would be the father, just off of based on emotion and like, oh, that's my seed. But it looked like the dad didn't want him to throw in the towel, and then the trainer was like, I gotta throw in the towel because it's too much blood. He's taking too much punishment. It was an interesting fight, just because we seen Golovkin get lumped up a little bit, and ultimately, I think he dictated the fight, the pace of it. But Rosado showed tremendous heart. Round three, Triple G really was busting him up. He had him hurt, and I don't know. It was pretty much what I expected from that fight. Rosado showing tremendous heart and not giving up until he gets stopped or the corner stops it, and that's basically what ultimately happened. Rosado did land some good shots, and as far as Rosado, my thoughts to him, I think he's definitely a force. I think he needs to move back down to 154. 160 is a little bit too big. It's a little bit too much for him to bite off and chew, in my opinion. So 154, I think. I mean, if you could take Gennady Golovkin's power, a guy like that hits like that, he could definitely make some great fights at 154. So I would like to see him move back down to 154, and he clearly has heart because he's in there. He didn't want to do the catch weight. He didn't ever want to give up. So props to Rosado for that. As far as Gennady Golovkin, he's he's not a he's not a monster in terms of nobody can beat him or will ever be able to beat him. However, it's going to be hard. You're going to have to. It's really going to take, in my opinion, it's going to take someone who's a skilled boxer with good movement and that has a chin, because you're going to have to be able to weather the storm of some of his shots, because he is pretty patient. There's even points where it looked like he was controlling the fight, and then Rosado was acting like he wasn't fazed by the shots, and he was like kind of taunting him, and the whole time it didn't look like emotion overtook Golovkin. He looked like he was pretty calm, collected, and composed in his delivery, and he kind of stuck to his game plan. The biggest problem I see with a fighter like Gennady Golovkin is he has zero head movement. He doesn't move his head at all. So it would be interesting, really interesting, to see a Sergio Martinez versus Triple G fight, just because we know that Sergio Martinez has pop, and he's gonna give some awkward angles and movement and that kind of thing. So we seen it looked like he had a mouse under his eye forming from Rosado. So I'm curious what a fight with Sergio Martinez would look like, especially there's so many variables in that fight. Sergio's almost 40, so that's one thing. Will his legs be able to hold up? Will he be able to do that? Because in my opinion, Triple G is not like a Chavez Jr. Chavez Jr. is a really, really stationary fighter. No amateur background. Triple G has over 300 fights, amateur background, and he's fought the likes of Andre Durrell and some other people. So it's not going to be the same type of Chavez versus Sergio Martinez fight, in my opinion. If Sergio fights Triple G, it can't be the exact same game plan, because one thing that Gennady Golovkin does do well is he cuts off the ring a lot better than Chavez. That's exactly what Chavez should have done. Cut off the ring a lot more and force these inside exchanges with Sergio Martinez, but he let Sergio Martinez dictate the pace of that fight. So, hell, I want to see it, but I don't know. I don't see like Peter Quillen beating Triple G. Sergio Martinez would be a good fight. There's a couple fights that could be made, but like I said, Golovkin's not invincible, and he definitely needs to work on his defense and his head movement. And there were parts in the fight where it looked like he was perhaps hurt, or not hurt, frustrated. I'm sorry. Looked like he was frustrated at certain points. And then the main event, you have Orlando Salido versus Mikey Garcia. And this one is funny to me because I had people arguing my prediction, saying I'm stupid. There's no way that Garcia can stop him. And he knocked him down, I think, 4 times throughout the fight. Round 1, Salido went down twice. It was a 10-7 round. Round 3, Garcia dropped him for the 3rd time. just by timing the uppercut while Salido was kind of rushing in, and he caught him. Round four, Salido, he went down for the fourth time. This one is arguably, he said he was pushed or he slipped. I mean, that's up for debates, but there was some contact with the shot. The ref counted it as a knockdown. At the end of the fight, or after the knockdown, I think Salido did pick up the pace a lot, and he landed a lot of good shots in the round four. Um, Round five, Mikey was landing some monster shots, and it looked like he had Salido hurt multiple times. Round six, Garcia did more of the same. Salido was looking a lot more desperate. And then round seven, I feel, was Salido's best round. He really picked up the pace. He was aggressive, and it looked like he was landing some good shots. But after the two knockdowns, when he went back to his corner, it looked like Salido was already discouraged from that. He was just on the stool, and he just looked discouraged throughout this fight. I think overall, Mikey Garcia did a lot of things right. Stuff we didn't even know he could do, like inside fight game, um, how he handled the pressure from Salido and moved. His defense looked great. He had a great defense because, as you guys know, Salido throws some like wide looping, like right hands, and there was a couple that it looked like if they would have connected, Garcia might have went night night if they would have connected, but he was able to block it with some of his shoulder or his hand, his defense. So that's one thing that Garcia did right. But again, I know boxing is funny because they said Mikey Garcia, people were inboxing me all kinds of stuff. They said he stands no chance. He has no chance of beating him. And what happened? He dominated that fight. He knocked him down four times, and it ended in a headbutt, which is not the preferred method of getting the title. But unless Salido did something serious in them last rounds, it was definitely going to be at least a unanimous decision. I said it late stoppage or unanimous decision. I guess we'll never know because it didn't end in that. Headbutt caused a broken nose from Mikey Garcia, and he had trouble breathing. Doctors took a look at it, deemed the nose was broken, so they went to the scorecards. Mikey Garcia was clearly ahead on the scorecards with all the knockdowns, and he skated to an easy scorecard victory. But again, in my opinion, Mikey Garcia is the real deal. What other questions? He called Gamboa out at the end. He said we can meet at 130, 135. That'd be an interesting fight that I would like to see. And I told you guys, Mikey Garcia is the real deal. He's a technical fighter. The only thing I wish he would do a little bit different is there were points that it looked like he had Salido hurt, and he could have possibly got him out of there. But he's really, really conservative and really economical, and he doesn't overcommit, which is good and bad. It's good in the sense of so you don't end up like Pacquiao, like winning the round in round six against Marquez, and then you're just so reckless and overconfident that you end up getting slept and knocked out, and face first you fall down to the canvas. So it's good in that regard because you never want to, especially a person like Orlando Salido, you never want to underestimate him. And sometimes these fighters, boxers, they have the mentality when their back's against the wall. It's like, you know what I mean, like cornering a pit bull. You might be able to bully it, and then you get them in the alley, and you back them up to a corner. They're gonna either like bow down and cower down, or they're gonna bite you. And a fighter like Orlando Salido is not the type of fighter you want to back against a corner because he's gonna try to unleash, and he's a very prideful fighter. He has power. So yeah, you don't want guys like that to hang around. You don't want to keep them around. If you can get them out of there, then sometimes you have to let your hands go. And this is pretty much what I said in my prediction. There are going to be times where Garcia is going to be more economical and not let his hands go. And with a fighter like Orlando Salido, in the future, I could see that leading to problems. Like it obviously ended in a freak nose broke accident, but when you leave people around and let them like trail around, you know what I mean, they get a second wind, or their corner tells them they're behind and need a knockout. You know what I mean? You never know what will happen. Headbutts can happen. They can get desperate and just start like going balls to the wall and swinging like crazy. You never know. So, in my honest feedback for Mikey Garcia would be, if you got him hurt, you really need to try to close the show. So that's something he could work on. He's still young enough to do it. I believe he's 25. overall, it was a great night of boxing. I didn't want the Garcia fight to end like that, but my predictions were right. Let me know what you guys think of the fights. What did you guys see? As always, subscribe, comment, and or hate. Until next videos, Ego signing off.